Hello guys, welcome back. This is Mr. Allen. Today is April the 16th, and today we're going to be doing area of rectangles, area of squares, area of triangles, of trapezoids, and parallelograms. So area of squares and rectangles, we went over this before, or you should have gone over this in 4th grade, but just a brief going over. So area for squares or rectangles is just length times width. So you're just going to multiply whatever the length is times width. That gives you the area of a square or a rectangle. So we have a rectangle right here. So if I want to know the area of this rectangle, I know that this is 8, this is 2. We know that this is 8 as well, and this is 2, even though it doesn't show us. And we're just going to multiply 8 times 2, which is going to give us 16. So the area for number 1 should just be 16. Number 2, we have a square, and now we see 5 4 times. But again, the formula is just length times width. So 5 times 5 is going to be your area for number 2, which is 25. So number 2 should be 25. And then the area for number 3, even though it just has one number, we know that it's a square. So we know that this is 9, that's 9, that's 9, and this is 9. So the formula for area is length times width. The width is 9, the length is also 9. 9 times 9, 81. So I'm just going to briefly go over that. We should have already known that. So now what I want to go in is to the area, the formula for the area for triangles. So as we can see here, the formula to find the area for triangle is a half multiplied by base multiplied by height. So the base and height, when you think of length times width, the height of any two-dimensional figure is a vertical line from the highest point of the two-dimensional figure to the lowest. So the height is a vertical line from the highest point of a two-dimensional figure to the lowest. So kind of think of like this, the height. I'm going to go in more details in a bit. And then the base is the horizontal line. Horizontal line on the figure. So in a triangle, you're only going to have one base and one height. So let's go in this one. We have 6 for the height and then 8 for the base. So we know the formula is a half times base times height, or a half times height times base. It doesn't really matter. So it's going to be a half times base, which is 8, times height, which is 6, or half times 6 times 8. So there are a couple ways we can run this. Now, whenever with orders of operation, whenever you're multiplying, it doesn't matter what order you go in. So we could do 6 times 8, which is 48, and multiply it by a half. And when you think of half, you know, half of 10 is going to be 5, which is a smaller number. So whenever you're multiplying by a fraction, you're going to divide it. You actually, when it says 48 times half, you're saying 48 divided by 2, or you're dividing it by the denominator. So I have 6 times 8 times a half is going to be 6 times 8, which is 48, times a half, or 48 divided by 2. 2 can go into 4 2 times, 2 can go into 8 4 times, you're going to get 24. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is you can actually just say a half times 6. What's a half of 6? 3. What's 3 times 8? 3 times 8 is 24. You get your same 24 here. Let me know if this is too small so I can zoom in more on it. But let me know if it's too small in the comments. But yeah, so a half times 6 times 8, again, it doesn't matter what direction. You can actually say a half times 8. What's a half of 8? A half of 8 is 4. So a half times 8 is 4. 4 times 6, the same 24. So it doesn't matter which order you're going in. Whenever you have multiplication, just go straight across. Now, the second one. We have this triangle. We have the height of 4. Remember, that's the vertical line. And then the base of 9. Again, the formula is a half multiplied by height times base, or a half times base times height. It doesn't matter. Just half times 4 times 9. Again, you could just say a half of 4 is what? 2. So we'll multiply the half and 4, we got 2. Now we'll multiply 2 times 9, you get 18. You're done. Or you can multiply 9 times 4, which gives us 36. Then we do 36 times a half, or 36 divided by 2, which is the same 18. Or you could say a half times 9. A half of 9 is 4.5. 4.5 times 4. Once you line it up and everything and move the decimal back over, you're going to get 18. Yeah, 4 times 4 is 16, and then a half plus a half plus a half plus a half. But we don't need to get into that right now. But all I'm saying is it doesn't matter which one you multiply first. And according to orders of operation, when you're just multiplying, you're always going to get the same answer. So, you know me, rules of 3. We're going to go over this a third time. Now, if you notice in this triangle, none of these lines are vertical. This line is not vertical. It's slanted. We have a horizontal line, but we don't have a vertical line, so we don't have a height. So the height is a vertical line from the highest point of the two-dimensional figure to the lowest. So what you're going to notice on IXL is they're going to have imaginary lines showing the height, and that is what the height is, from the top, the highest point, to the bottom. So this number right here, even if it has a number, that's not going to help you. This 3 doesn't help you. It's going to be this 8, which is the height multiplied by the base. So the height of this triangle, or from the bottom of the triangle to the top, in a vertical line is 8, and then the base, the horizontal line is 6. So again, the formula is a half times base times height, or a half times height times base. That's going to be a half times 8 times 6. Again, you could do, what's a half of 8? Half of 8 is 4. 4 times 6, 24. Or you can multiply out 8 times 6, which is 48. A half of 48, or 48 divided by 2, still 24. So doesn't matter which direction you go. So I want you guys to try these 4 by yourself. It's really, really gonna help if you pause the video, go back over what I just went over, if it's a little bit confusing, and just pause it, write it down, try to do it yourself. So I want you to do these 4 by yourself. So if it's too small, we have 6 right here for the height, and then 2 for the base. For number 8, we have 4, the number 4 for the height, and then 5 for the base. Number 9, we have 8 for the height, and 3 for the base. And then number 10, we have 12 for the height, and 9 for the base. So, pause the video, and we are back. So, for number 7, again, it's going to be a half times base times height, or a half times base. So we have a half times 6 times 2. Half of 6 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So the area for number 7 is 6. Number 8, we have the base of 5 and the height of 4. Half of 4 is 2. 2 times 5 is going to give you 10. The area for that triangle is 10. Number 9, we have 8 and 3. The area is going to be 12, which is a half of 8 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. And then lastly, we have 12 for the height and the base of 9. Half of 12 is 6. 6 times 9 is going to give you 54. 6 times 9 is going to give you 54. Okay, so that's pretty much with triangles. Half times base times height. Always remember the height, tallest or the highest point on a two-dimensional figure to the lowest, and it's vertical. Trapezoids. The formula for area for trapezoids is a half times height times base 1 and base 2. Now remember, the base is any horizontal line. Triangles only have one horizontal line, but trapezoids have two. So what we're going to do is we need to actually add those two bases before we multiply them by the height and then multiply them by a half. So with this trapezoid number 1, we have the top number as 4, or the first base, base 1 is 4, and then base 2 is 8, and then we have a height of 3. So that's going to be a half multiplied by 3 times open bracket 8 plus 4. So remember, orders of operation, you have to add or do what's in the bracket first. Sorry, not add. You do whatever is in the bracket first. 8 plus 4 is 12. So we add both bases, we got 12. Now we have a half times 3, which is the height, times 12, which is the both bases added together. So same thing as a triangle. You can just say a half of 12 is 6. 6 times 3 is going to give you 18, or you could say 12 times 3 is 36, and then 36 times a half, or 36 divided by 2. That's going to give you the same 18. It's whichever one works best for you. And yeah, so let's go over this one. Number 2, we have the first base, or base 1 as 5. We have base 2 of 7, and then the height is 4. So we have 4. We have the imaginary line here to show that that's 4, that vertical height. And then we have the first base of 5, the second base of 7. So it's going to be a half times 4 times open bracket 7 plus 5. First base plus the second base. So 7 plus 5, we always do in the brackets first, is 12. So that's going to give us a half times 4 times 12. So same as before, you either do a half of 4, do a half of 12, or you multiply 4 and 12 and then multiply by a half. I think it's easier if you just do a half of 4, which is 2. 2 times 12, 24, you're done. Or you can say 12 times 4 is 48. A half of 48, 48 divided by 2, excuse me, is going to give you the same 24. Right? So let's try one more time. Now we have number 3. We have the first base, or the number at the top, of 19. And then the second base, the number on the 2, is 23. And then we have a height of 5. So again, what's the formula for trapezoids, the area for trapezoids? It's a half times base times height. And we need to add those two bases. So base 1 plus base 2 in brackets. So 19 plus 23, that's going to give you 42. That's a half times 5 times 42. Same as before. You can say a half of 42, or 2 divided into 42 is going to give you 21. 5 times 21 is 105. Or you can do 42 times 5, which is going to give you 210. 210 times a half, or 210 divided by 2 is going to give you 105. And then, yeah, that's it. So a half times the base, times the height, times base 1 plus base 2. And those are in the brackets, so you always need to add those first. All right, that being said, I want us to try these 5. And again, if it's too small, please let me know so I can make them bigger in the future. But number 4 is going to be, the first base is 7. The second base is 13. And then the height is 3. Number 5, the first base is 14. The second base is 16. And then the height is 7. Next one, number 6. The first base is 7. The second base is 9. And then the height is 2. Number 7, the first base is 5. Second base is 9. And then the height is 10. And then lastly, number 8, first base is 10. Second base is 12. And then the height is 5. So again, please pause the video, try to work them out, rewind if you need to, but it's half times height times, in brackets, first base plus second base. You got to add them first, then multiply. Okay, we are back. You guys paused, you had your pen and paper, you did your work. So number 4, we have first base plus second base, 7 plus 13, that's going to give you 20. So we have a half times 3 times 20. You could just say half of 20, which is 10. 3 times 10, 30. That's it. Number 5, we have 14 plus 16. We know 14 plus 16 is 30. 30. So we have 7 times 30 times a half. Half of 30 is going to be 15. 7 times 15 should be 105. I believe. Yeah, 105. Sorry, it's on the, yeah, 105. And then number 6, we have 7, first base of 7, second base of 9. 7 plus 9 is going to give us 16. A half times 2 times 16. You know, a half of 2 is 1, or 1 times 16. Or you could say a half of 16, which is 8. 8 times 2, 16. Doesn't matter. So 16. Number 7, we have first base of 5, second base of 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. So we have a half times 10 times 14, which is going to be 7 times, well, half of 14, which is 7. 7 times 10 is 70. Or a half of 10 is going to give you 5. 5 times 14, 70. All right, last one, number 8. We have first base of 10, second base of 12, a height of 5. 10 plus 12 is going to give you 22. 22 divided by 2, or a half times 5 times 22. Remember, write it down, and then a half times 22 is going to be 11. 5 times 11, 55. Okay. Yeah. 22, 11, 55. Yeah. Okay. Parallelograms. Now, parallelograms, the formula for parallelograms is just base times height. So this one, I want you to think of rectangles and squares a little bit. Just looking for that vertical number times the horizontal, base times height. So for this one, we have the base of 7. Now remember, with parallelograms, this base and this base is always going to be the same. So you don't have to worry about adding or anything. It's just base times height. So we have 7 for the base and then 3 for the height. So 7 times 3, 21, you're done. That's it. All you're multiplying is base times height. So number 2, let's say they had 8 at the bottom and 8 at the top. Remember, same here, they have multiple numbers, it doesn't matter, just height times base. So I want you guys to try these 4, and I'm gonna say them out loud just to make sure you can see them. We have a base of 8 and a height of 5 for number 2. Number 3, you have a base of 4 and a height of 4. For number 4, you have a base of 7. I'm sorry, you have a base of 9 and a height of 7. Base of 9, height of 7. Doesn't matter if it's at the top or bottom. They're both, remember, parallelograms, they're going to be the same length. So they're both the same, both bases. So just height times base. That's it. Number 5, we have base of 12 and then a height of 5. So I want you guys to write these down, try to do the work. I'm gonna please pause the video, and all right, we're back. So number 2, again, just base times height. 8 times 5 is 40. The area of this parallelogram is 40. Number 3, base times height. 4 times 4 is 16. Area is 16. Number 4, 7 times 9 is going to be 63. Area is going to be 63. And then number 5, 12 times 5 is 60. And that's it. Now, I want to go over fractions with area a little bit. So in iExcel, you're going to see questions like this, where you see 2 and 1 over 3, and what's the area of this square. So again, you know it's a square, so all the lengths are the same. The formula for area of square is length times width. But if we have 2 mixed numbers, how do you multiply 2 mixed numbers? I went over this before in class, but you need to convert them into improper fractions first. So the way to convert a mixed number into an improper fraction is you multiply the whole number by the denominator, so 2 times 3, and then you add the numerator, or the number at the top. So you multiply the whole number by the bottom number, and then you add the top number. So 2 times 3 is going to be 6, and you add 1, that's 7. So 2 and 1 over 3, if you change it from a mixed number to an improper fraction, is 7 over 3. So we know that all of these are 7 over 3. So length times width, or 7 over 3 times 7 over 3. When you're multiplying fractions, you just go straight across. 7 times 7 is 49. 3 times 3 is 9. Boom, you're done. So area, length times width. And if they give you a mixed number, you need to convert it to an improper fraction. So number 2, we have 2 and 2 over 3 for the length, and then 1 and 1 over 4 for the width. It's the same thing. We have to convert these into improper fractions. So 2 and 2 over 3, I multiply the whole number, which is 2, times the bottom number, or the denominator. 2 times 3 is 6. And then we add the top number, which is 2. 6 plus 2 is 8. So we have 8 over 3 for the length. And for the width, we have 1 and 1 over 4. So 4 times 1 is going to be 4. And then you add the 1, which makes it 5. So we have 8 over 3 times 5 over 4 for the length and the width. When you're multiplying with fractions, straight across, 8 times 5 is 40. 3 times 4 is 12. The area for this rectangle is 40 over 12. You can simplify it, but we're not going into simplifications or anything yet, or changing it back into a mixed number quite yet. For practice, you can, but we're not doing that right now. So number 3, same thing. We have 5 and 1 over 4 for the length, and then 2 and 3 over 5 for the width. To convert this mixed number into an improper fraction, multiply the whole number times the denominator. So 5 times 4 is going to be 20. And then you add the numerator. That's 21 over 4 multiplied by 2 times 5 is 10. I'm sorry, this is 2 and 3 over 5. This is 2 and 3 over 5. Please let me know if it's too small in the comments. 5 and 2 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. That's 13 over 5 times 21 over 4. You go straight across. 21 times 13 is 273. 4 times 5 is 20. So your area is going to be 273 over 20. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Please, please, please rewind, pause the video, write down, do the repetition. Even though the ones I'm going with, pause before I give you the answer, and then just try to work it out yourself. That repetition is really going to help. But thank you for your time. I hope everyone is being safe, and you guys have a good one.